Hey everybody, it's Charlie from Daily Motor, and it is a shame that it has been so long since we've been behind the wheel of the best-selling electric vehicle here in the United States, the Tesla Model Y. But with the Juniper refresh recently, entirely new styling, new interior bits, and promises of a quieter and more refined interior, it was high time for us to do a review. Now, part of the reason we don't drive Teslas very often is because Tesla's media department is essentially not there. It was dissolved for the most part, maybe 5 years ago or so. And they kind of have a few media cars that make their way out to the really big players, the Motor Trends, Car and Drivers, Forest Auto Reviews, those sort of guys. But in general, you send an email to media at Tesla Motors and you tell them who you are and what you're doing, and you get no reply. Whereas every other brand, including Rolls-Royce and Ferrari at this point, we can email and set up some sort of review. So I actually shelled out my own hard-earned money here and rented this Tesla Model Y from the Tesla store here in Costa Mesa, California, so that I could have it for a few days and shoot a number of reviews. I shot our sound system test on the premium audio system here, did the members only test, a highway fuel range test, and of course now this pros and cons review. And it goes a little deeper than that as well, because I used to own a Tesla Model Y. It was our first Daily Motor long-term test vehicle, and I do really like Teslas. I liked our Model Y, I love the Model 3. The only one I'm don't really care for is the Model X. But to be fair, maybe the one I drove just wasn't really that compelling. Never driven a Cybertruck, but I would absolutely love to. So I am personally excited to spend time with this Tesla Model Y in general, especially because it has the full self-driving capability on it. And spoiler alert, it is fantastic. So let's go through the car a little bit here, and then we'll get into my pros and cons after spending just under a week here with the Model Y. Now, a few things you should know about this model. It is an all-wheel drive premium model, which means it is not the basic car that starts at $40,000 and has cloth seats. And it also does not have the most range because it's got the 20-inch optional wheels on it. So this one says it has 303 miles of mixed driving range. We got a little bit lower than that in our highway range testing, but still much more accurate of a number than our older Teslas. They seem to have gotten a little bit more efficient. This one's rocking a 75 usable kilowatt hour battery pack. I think it's 81 to 82 kilowatt hours gross, roughly, so there's some buffer in there. The one you're looking at, about $54,000. You're paying $1,000 for the paint, $1,000 for the wheels. Actually, I think it's one or two for the wheels, $1,000 for the white interior. So that kind of bumps the price up a little bit. Furthermore, before we get started, let's give a shout out to the video sponsor, LaceFit. LaceFit liners are what we use in our test vehicles here in order to keep the carpets nice and clean. It's a little bit rainy here in Southern California today. I'm actually shooting this right before New Year's. It's supposed to be rainy like it was on Christmas. But especially if you live in an area where you get a lot of dirt in your car or a lot of sleet, slush, snow, anything like that, you got to get yourself some all-weather mats. And LaceFit offers some compelling options here for the Model Y, as well as a lot of other different vehicles. Look at the mat here, how it covers where your feet are going to be coming in, so that way when you get in and out, you don't scuff up your carpet and have to get it shampooed or anything right there. It goes way up under the pedals, onto the dead pedal, and underneath the seat a little bit as well. It's got that rubbery TPU 3D measured material, very nice and durable. You can see in the back, it's got this tray style that's keeping slush and muck tucked away, again, off of your carpets. It goes well up under both the two seats and the center, if you've got passengers that might be riding in the rear. And furthermore, we get into the cargo area. You see a nifty little design from them because the Model Y has under trunk cargo compartments, so you need to be able to have a nicely foldable mat there. So you can see the mat folds nice, and then you can get in, see the next layer of cargo coverage under there. There is a liner for underfloor, and if that wasn't enough, there is a liner for the second underfloor as well. It's this nice kind of two-stage tray type of liner. So LaceFit has really considered all the different cargo compartments. And if you're about to ask, oh wait, but what about the frunk? They've got you there as well. I use the app to open up our frunk, or front trunk. Look at that. Even a LaceFit mat up in front there. So I highly recommend, if you've got a Model Y, Model 3, or really any car on the new car market, check out LaceFit, get some good coverage. I can get you 18% off if you use the code DailyMotor. And that should be a pretty universal code, so it's not kind of like a temporary thing like we've seen around Black Friday or anything. Big shout out to LaceFit. Thank you for supporting. Before we do get into the pros and cons, I just want to go through again some of the things that stand out to me here with the Model Y. And starting back from the rear, I love having the underfloor storage compartments. We use those so often. In the kind of the far up one here, you sort of put things that you don't use very often, maybe some emergency gear, blanket, something like that. And then under this main one, we used to put grocery bags and dirty shoes, a lot of things that would go up under there. You've got these side compartments too that are very deep, so you can put whatever, milk in there if you're going to the grocery store, stuff like that. This one's got an optional cargo cover as well. So this kind of comes multi-folds up and down like so. Adds a layer of security. And something we have for the 2026 model, power folding rear seats. Look at that. You just press the button and then the seats come on down. Now, I always appreciated how in our older Model Y, you could pull back the rear seats. They had releases back there, but this goes one step further. Oh, and that reminds me, we've got even more LaceFit liners. I forgot to show this. Seat backs here. So if you do have the seats folded and you're putting dirty gear in there, it's going to be fully covered all the way to this 40-20-40 split fold. But very nice to be able to fold those seats so easily, just the touch of a button. And Tesla is smarter than GM. They actually have the second row seats the first row seats slide up and out of the way so that the headrests can clear. Then coming into the back, you see this glaring white fake leather here. Coming in, seat set at 5'10", because that is how tall I am. And we're seeing a few aspects of the car that are new. We do need to turn it on here. We see ambient lighting. Very nice to see that. Can customize it for all different colors of the rainbow. Auto up and down windows, even in the back here. Nice to have that. And look at this. We have a screen now in all but the standard Tesla Model Ys. And from back here, you can adjust climate control. You can adjust seat heating. You can adjust media. And you got some games. You've got some media that you can watch. Kind of nifty there. We've also got the 2 USB-C ports. Seat back pockets, and plenty of room. Ah, yes. And of course, the glass roof that we're going to talk about a little bit in our cons section. A little bit tight for the door opening though, so keep that in mind if you're planning on loading car seats in and out. Still got the door handles that some people don't really care for. You got to kind of stick your thumb in, pull outward, and then up into the front. Some redesigned elements, but still some of my core tenets that I appreciated about our Tesla. The big cargo areas, the wireless device chargers, the nice feel. Some people might call it cheap. I call it a very efficient way of designing this interior. It's comfortable, it's well thought out. And despite the vast simplicity here, once you get to learn the car, very easy to live with and operate. However, I will say that this new generation of Model Y feels like a car that's trying to be even smarter and more tech forward than our previous generation car. And we'll talk about that a little bit more throughout the pros and cons, but everything from the turn signals kind of trying to guess and estimate when you want them to turn off, to the full self-driving, which we're going to see, to some of this more just kind of overall simplification. Things like the fact that if I put my seatbelt on, tap the brake, tap the gas, I don't even have to put the car in gear. And if I pull up to these bushes and I stop and I put the car in park, now if I get back, put my foot in the brake, I press the gas pedal, it starts reversing because it just senses, oh, you're probably going to want to go in reverse. Now this, don't get me wrong, is optional. But then if I back up here into this parking spot, tap the brake, turn the wheel, now the car automatically goes into drive. So again, it's trying to be smarter. It's trying to theorize your life to be easier, and some of it works really well, some of it's a little bit more questionable. So I'd be curious to know from people who've owned this one and a previous gen if they find this one more useful or more frustrating. But it's time to get into our pros and cons. My first con is the glass panoramic roof. I didn't care for it in our personal Model Y, the previous gen. I don't like how it heats up the cabin. I know it's supposed to be really insulating and everything, but it still adds heat to the cabin. It makes it so I essentially always have to have a hat on because I don't like having sunlight glaring into my eyes. And it adds an echoing to the cabin. Our Chevy Equinox EV has a panoramic sunroof, and we typically have it closed. So I would love to have the option to either be able to close this, open and closed, or just not even get it, which I suppose the standard car doesn't have that. It'd be interesting to drive a standard Model Y and see what that's like without having that panel roof, because I still would do without it. And a lot of these cons you are going to find are fairly minor. I am a pretty big fan of this car, but that doesn't mean that the cons don't matter. And the next one is no camera rear view mirror. So many more vehicles these days are moving to camera rear view mirrors. And when you consider how smart the Model Y is, it feels like a step backward in the tech department to get out of a vehicle that has it and then get into this, especially when the rear visibility is so poor. Such a tiny little rear window back there, not great visibility on the sides. If this were a camera right here, you'd be able to see so much better. So shame that you don't have that. Next con, no V to L adapter outside of, I think it's only the Model Y Performance that gets V to L capabilities. And what that is the ability to plug devices and power them off of your battery using the charge port. Now, some cars like the Ioniq 5, they have charge 110 outlets built right in here into the interior of the cabin. And yes, they kind of save that for the upper few trims. Maybe it's the top one, but it's not a performance model. I mean, I don't want to have a Tesla Model Y Performance, but I would like to have that V to L capability. Why not just have all the Teslas be able to have an adapter that you plug into its power port and then send power back out? That way you could power your house. If there were a power outage, you could power devices in your garage. If you were out camping or at the beach or something, you could power devices off that. It would be nice to have that outside of just the top Model Y. So it's capable of it. Give it to more models. Next con out here on the road, the ride quality on these 20-inch wheels, not fantastic. That was one of the elements of our Model Y that I was happy to leave is the general stiffness, and it was both the primary and the secondary ride were too hopped up on our Model Y. It was too firm. And I understand they're kind of going for a little bit of a go-karty feel. I would think the 19s on this car would take the bumps better, but really smooth road, sure, it feels good. But if you're on a rockier section of road, not loving the ride quality on these 20s. Next con out here on the road is Autopilot. Now, I'm going to talk about the full self-driving in the pros, because that's fantastic. Autopilot still works well. I appreciated it in our Model Y 5 years ago, and I appreciate it now. However, one of the most annoying aspects of it is the fact it still has to bong at you every time you enable it and disable it. So watch, I'm going to get up to speed here a little bit. Boom, boom. You got to listen to that. And then anytime the car can technically change lanes for you now, but if you need to put a little extra effort into the steering in order to change lanes a little more quickly, or you just want to get around somebody or something like that, you turn it off or it disables and you listen to that big bong. If you're playing music, for example, is that going to start playing? So say you're listening to music, turns it down a little bit, turns it down a little bit. That gets annoying. Why is that still a thing, Tesla? So if you don't pay for self-driving, then you have to listen to that every time you turn on and off your cruise control. I remember when we would be driving in our Model Y and my wife and I would be having a conversation, gotta listen to that bing bong every time I change lanes, or sometimes she'd be sleeping in the car seat next to me and she'd kind of get woken up a little bit by that bing bong. So annoying that they haven't changed that. Coming back here static for my pros. And the first one, while we're looking at it, is the styling. I never really minded the Model Y. I didn't think it was ugly. I didn't think it was attractive. It was sort of just an effective blob to me. But this one, I think looks cool. I don't love the lack of character in the little slitty eyes, but I do kind of like the light bar. I like the wheels, both models you can get, the 19s and the 20s. I love the colors, and I love the rear styling. I love the rear light bar and just how futuristic and modern it looks. So it's still a love-hate relationship. Some people are not going to care for it, but I personally like the styling. Next pro, the interior. Everything about the functionality of this car is well thought out. Again, the rear cargo area, all the different storage elements in it and everything, the way that the seats fold down. I don't need to show you again. Love that it's there. Then, the fact that there's so much room in the rear. Then coming up here, the fact that my 32-ounce water bottle fits into the door pockets. And the door pockets are huge and carpeted. There's so many vehicles we test that have so much dead space, whether it's in the center here, in the doors. It's not an effective use of the interior of the car. Teslas are not like that. Teslas give you very large door pockets, which add to the usability. Large center console. In fact, I'm surprised it doesn't go down even deeper. But I guess it's so that the center people maybe have a little bit more foot or storage room. Then I've always loved this huge center console area where you can just drop stuff into the middle. And then the 2 wireless device chargers right up here. Very good combination of functional and fairly attractive and smart interior. Then adding that big ambient light strip, the different kind of materials used here in the cabin. Things like these being magnets right here, as opposed to having a clip that you put in and the mirror kind of being magneted. It's just a nice place to be in here, and I've always loved the kind of just out of the box and intelligent design to the Teslas. Next pro, the technology. Holy cow. We review at least one different car a week throughout the year, so minimum 50 different cars we're driving throughout a calendar year. And when you get into a Tesla, you realize, oh, infotainment technology doesn't have to suck. Oh, phone apps can actually work well and not be super laggy. Oh, I can enjoy using the technology in my car. That is the Tesla experience. Look at when you open the settings menu here, it's only 2 layers deep. You've got this layer of, okay, do you want to go to seats, for example? And then your seat controls are there. There's not a second layer of menus anywhere. It's a very smart design. Everything's very bold and clearly laid out. And there's a search at the top if you were looking for something in particular, like if you were like, wipers. Wipers and washers. Learn how to use your vehicle's wipers, and there's the controls for it right there. And then the responsiveness to everything. If I want to kind of just clear this out, get away, don't need that, go to nav, look at how fast that was. Look at the responsiveness and the refresh rate. And I've heard people say, oh, that's because Tesla's a technology company, not a car company. Cool. I would rather that be the case because I use the tech all the time in my car. They've got the driving down just fine. Give me good usable tech. It makes me want to put infotainment as a con to every other car I drive after using a Tesla. For the next pro, I'm going to pull the car up here. Oh, gotta fasten my seatbelt before I can drive. Fair enough. I'm gonna pull the car into this parking spot right here. Now, I'm going to put it in park. I'm going to put in the coordinates just on the map here. Let's go. And we are gonna start self-driving. I'm just gonna sit back and let the car do its thing. This is a game changer, ladies and gentlemen. Now, am I going to claim that this system is perfect? No. But I can tell you that there is no other mainstream car on the market right now that can drive itself like this. I don't care where you fall on you're either being excited about this tech or thinking that it's all a gimmick or whatever. You cannot argue that this isn't impressive. Look at this. It's going to come up to the stop sign. I mean, this is just a random office complex that I shoot in. And it is driving me comfortably, safely, responsibly and efficiently. I'm curious how it's going to handle this speed bump up here. Is it going to slow down a little bit? Yeah, look at that, just slowing down a little. Going to hit it at about 6 miles per hour. Now it's speeding back up. I mean, this car drives like a 21-year-old, and a decent 21-year-old at that. I'm very impressed. The only issues I've had with it so far are we were taking it to go to a show at night, and I actually blame Tesla's navigation for this. I don't blame the self-driving, but it missed a highway exit. And I think that was because in the navigation, it was doing one of those things where it said, stay on this highway, and then it was like stay on this highway for 0.5 miles, and then it used that as a command, and then the exit after that was like 0.2 miles afterward. So the car was chilling way over in the left lane, and then it was supposed to get all the way over, and it just knew that wasn't going to happen, so it rerouted. Other than that, you can practically do all of your driving in self-driving. It's absolutely bonkers to me. In fact, if we go over here to, is it software or maybe Autopilot? Look at this. Out of the 4,172 miles on this car, 3,829 of them have been done in self-driving. This is a game changer. And the fact that I think right now it only costs $100 a month to have this functionality in your car, ladies and gentlemen, if you have some sort of longer commute regularly, especially highway driving or anything, oh, would I so want to have this in my car. It's awesome. And you don't even have to be dialed in staring at the road like you have to with something like GM Super Cruise. You can kind of be on your phone or looking around or messing with the screen. Now, if you're really not paying attention for a while, it'll beep at you. That's fine. But you don't have to be just eyes locked on the road like this to the point where you might as well be driving anyway. Now, it is a bit ironic because it's almost like, okay, well, if cars are just going to be driving themselves, am I even going to have a job here in the future? But gosh, is this impressive. It really is. Next pro, the Tesla ordering and receiving process compared to pretty much all other cars out there, all conventional dealership experiences. We've purchased 4 new vehicles over the last 5 years or so, mostly for review vehicles like this. The one was a Tesla, and it was fantastically easy. I went online, I spec'd it out how we wanted, pressed order, and when the car was ready, they told us to come to the service center, we signed some paperwork, and off we drove. Now, since then, we ordered 1 Ford and 2 Chevys, and it was a miserable process. Now, to be fair, the Ford was okay, and I mostly attribute that to the fact that we ordered from kind of a local dealership. It was not owned by a large dealership conglomeration, and they treated us well. They did a pretty good job. It was a longer process than the Tesla ordering was, but it wasn't painful. However, the Chevy process at 2 different Chevy dealerships, gosh, we were in there. Even though we knew exactly what car we wanted, I knew exactly how much we wanted to pay, it took hours to retrieve the car, and that was after already going in and setting up the deal, and then having to go through the finance department, and, oh, do you want this and that in your car? It costs this much, blah, blah, blah. Oh my, I will probably try to never experience that again. And it has turned me off from buying another Chevrolet product, just having to deal with the dealerships in both regards. So the fact that Tesla makes it so easy and enjoyable to order their cars, it's a seller right there. It really, really is. Wrapping up my thoughts here with the updated Tesla Model Y. I miss this car. I do. I love driving it. I love the tech suite, and I love the ownership experience. That's what Tesla has done so much better than so many other cars, is the overall living with experience of the car. There are EVs that are more fun to drive. There are EVs that are more efficient. There are EVs that cost less. But what Tesla does so well is the aspects outside of owning and driving a car. Because let's be honest, most people on the road, like I bet you the person in this Jeep Grand Cherokee right here, they don't want to be driving. They don't care to be driving. They just need to get their body and their family or their things to a place. And Tesla has made that whole experience easier. The ordering, the retrieving, the service, the phone apps, the charging, everything has made owning this appliance become easier. And then on top of that, it does drive well. It is efficient, and it can be fun. It's a really great package here, guys. Now, there are definitely still frustrations. It isn't a perfect car, but I fully get why people pick these over a lot of the other competition on the market. So that's why I am very curious to see where I'm going to land it here on the Daily Motor Leaderboard. This will be the last car for 2025. I'm taking a few days off for the new year, and then it's on to a new list. So we've got our 2026 Tesla Model Y. Current leaders of the Daily Motor Leaderboard: Ford F-150, Hyundai Santa Fe, and Honda Passport. Well, let's start from below. Definitely above the CX-30 NX. Sportage, Odyssey, yeah. Civic Si. SI is a little more fun. Maverick, Mazda 3, M340i, Armada, Gladiator. The problem I have once we get into the top 5 or so is most of these cars, outside of the Passport and Santa Fe, they have more character and more soul than the Model Y. I do still think the Hyundai Santa Fe is a better car than this. Overall, it's larger, costs less, a little more usable to more people. This is where we're going. As a holistic lineup, the Tesla Model Y is moving up into third place, behind the Hyundai Santa Fe, above the Honda Passport. Man, that means the Honda Passport doesn't get to win Car of the Year, does it? There's so much about this car that's cool. And it's one of the few cars that I feel like is looking so much further down the road than so many other car brands. And so many other car brands. I feel this way when I drive a lot of Hyundais too. I think, okay, these cars are being designed better and more intelligently than a lot of the other cars I drive. But Tesla's whole next level. And I absolutely love that. So thank you all so much for watching. If you do want to see more on the Model Y, check the links below. We've got our fuel economy test and the sound system review and the members only sound test. And we'll see you on the next one. I'm Charlie from Daily Motor, and as always, drive on.